Hi, Paul.
Hey!
Good morning.
So beautiful to hear your voice.
Can you see me this way, or you changed?
Can we
Not
move
yet.
it around?
Let's see. Oh, there you are. You're upside down. You're on the side.
Okay, sorry. I will try to. It's my first live like this, so I need to understand how to.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see you
Perfect.
perfectly, but you just need to turn your phone around.
No,
Yes!
she has now.
Ah, perfect. So, hey.
So long time we don't see. How are you?
Yeah, really well. So what's happening over there?
Well, we are locked down.
Yeah.
Luckily, I live really close to the winery, like 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
I was able to come up. And
Perfect.
it's a weird time, for us. It's really difficult, but we'll get over.
Yeah. So it's funny, isn't it? We're just doing the same thing now. We've just gone into lockdown, but at least we've got lots of good booze to drink.
Oh yeah, totally agree. Yeah, for this our time, what you need, it's a good cellar at your home.
Exactly. Well, the good thing though is that we're still allowed to ship wine, so
Yeah, perfect.
we can get wine to people, which is great. Yeah. So hey, we've got a heap of people, as you know, that love Nerello Mascelese and love wine from Etna in Australia, and we've got a lot of people joining us, which is fantastic.
Cool.
For those of you who don't get to join us, we're filming this and we're going to stick it in a blog post later, so you can watch. Now, I was just wondering, what do you reckon we kick off and you just let us know a little bit about Passopisciaro and the Franchetti estates, because there's more than Passopisciaro.
Yeah.
Tell the guys a little bit about what's going on and when they started and those kind of things.
Absolutely. So I'm Letizia Patanè, and I'm the export manager for Vini Franchetti, which are Andrea Franchetti's winery. We actually have 3 estates. One is in Sicily on Mount Etna, Passopisciaro, and the other 2 are actually in Tuscany. Tenuta di Trinoro, which is Andrea Franchetti's first project. And we are in a really remote side of Tuscany, just at the border with Lazio and Umbria, and he only produces Bordeaux varieties there. So it's a totally different project from Etna. He only grows Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Petit Verdot, so the wine are quite different. You can say that they are actually 2 polar apart projects.
Aren't they just? And you know what? It's so fascinating to try those wines, because Cabernet varieties did my head in for so long.
Yeah, and they all have a common line where you can recognize Andrea Franchetti's winemaking style, because he's also the winemaker. Which is always the elegance.
And Stana, just shout it out. So
and then there is a third project that is actually Carlos Franchetti project, which is Andrea's cousin, which is a Pinot Noir project, which was started by Carlo Franchetti and recently joined to the Vini Franchetti company.
So is that in Tuscany as well, or is that elsewhere?
Yeah. It's still in Tuscany. It's in San Casciano de Bagni, which is a beautiful area, still at the border with Umbria, quite high elevation, beautiful wine.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So, and you got to get some of that sorted so I can try some.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, and it is interesting that you talk about the wines having a sort of I guess the hand of the maker on there, and it's true for me from the perspective that they've always got great harmony and restraint, and there's always a lovely sort of balance to the wines. So it's plenty of fun there. But what about Passopisciaro? Tell us about Passopisciaro, when it started, why it started, and sort of what's happened up to today.
Yeah, so we are now 20 years old because the first vintage was 2001. So basically, Andrea arrived early 2000 on Mount Etna, and it was on vacation at the time. It was summer. He was looking for a fresher place, and he ended up on Mount Etna, and he saw the beautiful and old vineyards of Nerello Mascelese that we have here. Because
Yeah,
Etna, it's both a really old but also young viticultural area.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
old because everybody here in the past used to have a vineyard. I mean,
yeah,
both my grandfathers, my uncles, everybody. But there was a totally different philosophy because people were grape growers. So that's why we
yeah,
have vineyards which are more than 100 years old, which is a great legacy that we got from the past. But they were terrible
yeah,
winemakers.
yeah.
Philosophy was
So,
totally different. They were looking at just at the quantity, not really the quality.
yeah,
So when Andrea arrived here, I mean, there were few projects, but nobody used to know about Etna wine. So
yeah,
there
yeah,
was this big revolution that started also because he had a lot of contacts from his previous project, Tenuta di Trinora, which made him famous in a really short time. So he was
yeah,
able to bring people here, like for example, I don't know if you heard about Le Contrade dell'Etna, which is a huge event that
yeah,
we organized for more than 10 years. And
yeah,
Andrea was able to bring, for example, Jensis Robinson here for the first time a long time ago.
yeah. That would have
Because
been huge.
yeah, because he sent her some samples. She was like, "Oh, I love your wines, but I want to see something. I want to see more." So I was like,
Yeah,
"Sure, come over." And he invited all the producers from Etna here. There were
yeah,
just 25, 29 producers at the time, while now
yeah.
it's more than 120. So
I know, it's insane. Every time I turn around, I think there's another little producer coming on. So
yeah,
and
and
and to
everything starts from there. And now Etna is one of the coolest viticultural
ah
area.
definitely. I like to call it the Jurassic Park
Ah, yeah, I
of
remember that. Yeah, I
wine
love
because it's
that.
like there's this old dinosaur kind of thing and the new thing coming on as well. And Anthony's drinking 2017 Rampante with us with some homemade pasta.
Cheers, Anthony. Yeah, Rampant is one of
So,
his favorites always.
yeah, I love Rampante as well, and Guardiola, and it's so funny. We started calling at Wine Dakota. We're starting. What are you drinking?
Oh, here I just poured the Chiappe Macina in my glass, but I have
Yeah.
all the three of them.
Fantastic, fantastic.
It's 9 a.m. here, so it's a bit early to start drinking, but I will join you.
I don't know. You're in lockdown. Why not? Yeah, so I got the three. Hey, so tell me, we've got these fantastic three wines, and we should let people know that you've got Etna Rossos, and they're blends of Nerello Mascelese from a whole bunch of different vineyards in general. But we've
Yeah.
also got the Contrada, and a Contrada is a single vineyard. And so what we're tasting today is three single vineyards, and we're going to try Rampante, Guardiola, and I'm going to pronounce this horribly, but Cipiamentini. Was that all right?
Not really. It's Chiappe Macina.
See, I told you I was going to be horrible.
Chiappe.
So, Cipiamentini.
Cool. Perfect.
Okay, good. So tell us firstly a little bit about, say, Nerello Mascelese. What is this crazy variety Nerello Mascelese?
Yeah, so it's a variety that you mainly find all in Etna. So it's originally from here. initially planted more close to the sea, and then with the time, especially when the philosopher was arriving, they started to plant it higher in altitude. The bunch, Nerello Mascelese, can produce a lot of grape. Hi, Daniel! Can produce a lot of grape, and at the same time they are big bunches, big berries, thick skin, but it doesn't have a lot of color.
Yeah, it's fascinating because you see the French varieties and they've got these tiny little bunches and tiny little berries, and then you see pictures of Nerello Mascelese and their bunches are like this big, and the berries are this big, and
yeah, correct. And it's aromatically speaking, it's between Pinot Noir and Nebbiolo. So at least when nobody used to know about Nerello Mascelese, we used to compare a lot to these two grapes because and
I think the good thing is now everyone's just starting to call it Nerello Mascelese and saying it's its own thing, and they've recognised it for that. But it was handy in the beginning to say it's sort of somewhere in between the two.
Yeah, correct. Well, so some place, I mean, Australia, it's really, Anthony has been doing a great job becoming
he introduced me to these beasts.
Yeah, because every time I go to Australia, there are so many people who knows about our wines and knows about Nerello Mascelese, but there are still a lot of places where you still need to explain, to start from the beginning, because they don't know at all about it. So the better way is to compare to Pinot Noir, that everybody are familiar with, light in color, aromatically speaking, they're really similar. But then when you taste it, there is like a in your mouth, because there is tannins, great acidity. In the glass, it can really you don't expect from the glass. You don't expect that powerfulness in your mouth.
It's so deceptive. I think sometimes we take too much emphasis on colour, and we miss out on the important bits. But the texture of Nerello Mascelese is definitely one of the really special things about the wine. And one of the things that I love about the Passopisciaros is you don't see the influence of big chunky new oak tannin or anything like that. It's always beautiful grape tannin, and just sits so well in the wine.
This is because of Andrea's style a lot, because he is always one of the last picking the grape around here, because he waits for the full phenolic ripeness of every single berries that help you to smooth the tannins without using the oak, because for all the Nerello we only use large oak, neutral oak. So big barrel that can be also 50 hectoliters, so huge barrel, oval shape, and they are totally neutral. So
well, we should tell people a little bit about the vineyards, because we've got Chiappe Macine. How was that?
Right. You're getting right. Bravo.
Better? So we've got a massive difference between altitude. So we go from what is it? 550 meters up to 1,000. And if I hold up this map. Let me see if I can get it.
I always go around with this map.
Is this in the right spot? Where are we? This way?
Yeah, perfect.
How's
this is the easiest way to explain Etna with the different altitudes and the different Contrada, because so when Andrea started, he was able to buy many vineyards, but all of them, they were really small. We own between 1 hectare and 2 hectare maximum. So, and at the beginning, and at the beginning, he used to blend all of them together. But year after year, since he vinified everything separately anyway since the beginning, he saw that each single vineyard was showing in a totally different way. So in 2008, he decided to start bottling them separately. So you see there is the Chiappe Macine, which is the lowest elevation. So 550 meters. And it's also the only vineyard which has a really particular style. because it's not all volcanic soil, but you also get some limestone.
Yeah,
But basically, the roots of the vines are close to the limestone now because they can go really deep. But in the top of the soil, it's dark soil.
Yep.
Power
So,
because we are close to the lava flow of 1911 in this area.
yep.
So with the time, the erosion has been like bringing the black dash in the vineyards. So that's why at the beginning you see the black soil, but when you go deep
Yep.
down, you see the limestone.
Yeah. So that tends to make the wine a little bit richer, a little bit more generous, you think?
Yeah, exactly. Also, the tannins are a bit more difficult, more different, and
Yep.
there is more chalkiness that you don't get instead in the other single vineyards. Which
Yep.
make it a bit more Pinot Noir in style, but also at
Yeah.
the same time, so in a really warm vintage like 2017, because 17 was warm and dry, really similar
Yep.
to 2012. It helps you to retain water.
Yep.
So it helps you to keep freshness like in the vineyards and to make
Yep.
in a really warm vintage a really balanced wine. So I love,
Yeah.
for example, the C in 2017 vintage.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see the richness in the wine. It's really interesting comparing it back to the 2016s because they are so tight and there's so much tension in those wines. The acid is kind of searing, but you can see that particularly with the Guardiola and the Rampante, you can see they're going to settle with time. But there's a little bit more immediate generosity in the 17s.
Correct.
Yeah, this is my first look at the Contrada, and I'm really liking where things are going. Unfortunately, my C's is a poco tapo, but
Sorry about that.
I know, but I can see the core of fruit in there, and I can see the beautiful tannins in there, and it does have that lovely suppleness to it. It's quite a plush feeling wine, and I'm looking forward to having another bottle soon too. But
really approachable also. 17 is a vintage which is you can enjoy it also right now. By 16,
and that the Etna Rosso is beautiful as well. I love that one. It's tell me. There's a big difference in elevation. So you go from Contrada C to Contrada G and R.
Exactly.
And there's 400 meters, 500 meters elevation difference. So what does that do for the vineyards and the fruit and the wines that come through?
Well, surely it give us a different time for the harvest. Because at 1,000 meters, for example, we have more diurnal shift. During the summer, we can go from 40 degrees during the day to 15 degrees during the night. So that means that the maturation kind of slow down because during the nights it's too cold, so the vines kind of shut down and they start again during the day. So they are almost 10 days apart, depending from the vintage, obviously, but they are almost 10 days apart from the harvest in Chiappemacine and the harvest in Rampante.
Wow, that's a massive difference. And so
the Etna is already really late. Don't forget that. We start at the end of October. Sometimes we keep going even until the beginning of November.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's you look at those sort of times, and a lot of people would think, oh, you're picking or growing grapes in Sicily, you should be picking really early. It's going to be super hot. But the effect of being on that mountain and going so high up to 1,000 meters, you're losing a degree in temperature for every 100 meters. So it's getting cooler and cooler. And as you say, you've got that shift between day and nighttime temperature.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense when you see that sort of that 16 vintage, the purity and the freshness and the line and length and the energy of the asset, and then a warmer vintage probably brings it into perhaps more of a normal cycle compared to other regions.
Yeah, no, totally. It makes the time of the maturation much longer. And
Yeah.
at the same time, in the highest vineyards, keep the grape really like the skin. It's really crunchy in the highest vineyards.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, it kind of freeze, but not freeze is not the right word. It kind of like
Yeah.
keeps the grape really like strong and
Yeah.
crunchy and healthy up there.
Yeah, I wonder
Nice.
whether it's something to do with that sort of evolution of survival. They want to keep a healthy grape, and so the best plants have had thick skins over time to survive those conditions. But whatever the reason, the tannins that come out are really beautiful. How do you describe the difference in the feeling of the tannins between the three wines as you go through?
Well, the Capimachin, it's more chalky, really approachable since the beginning of the tannins. Going up with the Guardiola, for example, Guardiola has really precise tannins. Guardiola, it's a really
Yeah.
precise wine and everything, with the fruit and the freshness, but the tannins are, I mean, Guardiola, it's where you start feeling that you're speaking about a mountain wine.
Yeah.
Rampante, it's the wine that usually needs a bit more time.
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
see this, yeah, higher acidity, less fruit, quite flowery, but the tannins are really present. But you can see that there's still tannins that can evolve and get better and better.
Yeah.
2017, it's the wine is a bit more generous
Yeah.
than it
Yeah.
usually is.
That's a really great description of those three wines, because you do see with Contrada that immediate plush generosity. Then you see the line and length and the structure of the Guardiola, the beautiful tannins. They are just a little bit grippy, but in a really nice way.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the Rampante, although it doesn't have as much overt fruit, there's still this wonderful depth and length of flavour.
Yeah.
It's just more secondary kind of characteristics, and some beautiful fine tannin in Rampante. It's almost, for me, there is that thing about preference, but there's also that thing about just celebrating the differences, because they're just such beautiful individual wines.
And again, they're all made exactly the same way. So that's the interesting thing. We don't do anything different in the cellar or in the vineyards for this wine. It's everything about terroir.
Yeah. So what happens? So we got in terms of the vineyards and the differences in the vineyards. Is there much difference in the age of vines? Have you got projects to replant sections, or are the vineyards pretty stable at the moment?
So all of them, the three wines we're tasting, they all have the same kind of age, the vines.
Yeah.
I mean, they're between 100 years old and more than that.
Yeah.
While the P and the S are the younger one, but young, we're still talking about 8 years old.
Yeah, so it's not exactly young.
Yeah. I guess I can be so young at 80 years old.
do you know how much fruit you get from these vines? Because I mean, at that age, they tend to start to, the yields tend to go through the floor, and you get not much fruit off them.
We drop down. We do a really important a green harvest with the Nerello, because Nerello can produce a lot. So on the vineyards for the Contrada, we leave about 6 bunches, 5 to 6 bunches. It depends from the vintage. So
are they all bush vines? That El Barello kind of coming up, or are you?
These 3 are all Alberello system. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and what we are doing is now trying to to replant some, because these are old vines. Some of them have been dying during the years. So we're trying to replace the vines that are dying. But what we do, which is really important, it's during the pruning time, we took the cuttings from each vineyard. We take them separately. So the C stay with the C, the G with the G, and the R with the R. We send them to France, where we have our nursery, still separate. And then after that, they send us back the new vines, the little vines that we can replant. But they're still separate for each vineyard.
Yep. So you're doing that sort of selection massal, where you're finding the best vines and going for the cuttings from those.
There is not a clone that it's considered the most important clone. So what we're trying to do is keep the authenticity of the vineyard.
So it's the personality of the vineyard that you want to keep by doing that. Yeah, that's great. But it's funny, because I think from what I've read, people are still trying to work out whether everything that's been called Nerello Mascelese is actually Nerello Mascelese. There's a big chance there's other varieties in there that have perhaps been lost over time, and they're still sort of working out what's what.
It's funny, because from a DNA research, they found out that Nerello Mascelese, it's Sangiovese crossed with Montonico Bianco, which is a grape from Calabria.
Wow. So it's fascinating to see that, because you've got some Sangiovese-esque things in there. I love, sort of like that crunchy cherry fruit and some of the lively acidity in it, but perhaps more structure than you'd see in Sangiovese. So I don't know, maybe that comes from the other parts. I'm not sure, but it's such a beautiful variety, and I don't think we shouldn't. I wish we could. I know. Are you guys making a Caricante at all? Because I know you make the Chardonnay.
And Andrea is focusing only on the Chardonnay. Different varieties, and when he came up here, he saw the potential for making a great Chardonnay. We actually come out with a new wine of Chardonnay, a cru of Chardonnay, which is So now only working on Chardonnay.
So what's the vineyard? Is that the Monte Dolce?
So we have some in Guardiola. That's why the Guardiola point, it's yellow as well. And then some in Monte Dolce. So the Guardiola vineyard was planted in 2001 and the Monte Dolce in 2009.
Yeah, okay. So let's see, what else are we going to talk about? I'm going to talk about what's happening. So you got a Cru Chardonnay coming out. But what else is happening in the winery and the vineyard? Are there things that are changing around a bit? Are there experiments that are sort of a focus? And if there are, what are they trying to achieve?
Well, right now we're really happy with the Nerello Mascelese and the kind of style we reach for this wine. Obviously, the vintage, it's fundamental, so that's why we underline it on the label. You can see that it's really evident. New wine of Chardonnay. We are planting more Chardonnay because it's becoming quite popular for us because it's something unique from Etna. I have to admit, when people come here and I tell them, "Oh, this is our vineyards of Chardonnay," if they come from Australia or they come from the US and see the disappointment in their face, they are like, "Why Chardonnay on Etna?" But then they taste it and they totally change their mind because it's something they don't expect.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, it's interesting because when you try the Caricantes from Etna, a lot of people call them it's sort of like the Chablis of Italy, and so to have Chardonnay come into the mix, sort of it makes sense in a lot of ways.
And I think it's still one of terroir because you can get beautiful freshness, you get the volcanics, you get like that ashy kindness in your mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, beautiful acidity. I mean, it's a really vertical wine, and it's a wine that also
Yeah.
aged beautifully. So
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you what, when you said that you're happy with the Nerello Mascaleses, I thought, you know what, I reckon I'd be pretty happy as well. It's been interesting watching them over the years because I've been drinking them since the 2009 vintage, and I've had a couple of slightly older ones, and every time I taste a year, I feel like there's more comfort in the winery, and that the work's being done in the vineyard. So there's that sort of wisdom that takes time, and given the winery is still so young, it makes sense that 20 years is a short
yeah,
time in a winery. But all of a sudden, these wines every year they've got such beautiful personalities, and it's been really interesting to taste these and watch these open up over time. Particularly on the Contrada, say just a little bit cork, but the G and the R, they're just opening up beautifully in the glass. And if anyone's
yeah.
got these open, I know Ant's got a bottle of Rampante open. Seriously, look at them over a few days. Actually, crack the bottle and drink Don't pour in it like I did because I have 3. But if you're just drinking one, open it and take a glass out of it. 2 glasses each night. Finish it over 3 days, particularly when it's young, and watch it open up. It's blossoming beautifully in the glass.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's a wine that you can enjoy from beginning to the end and see how it evolved. I mean, that's why this grape is so interesting, because first of all, you never stop learning about it, because Mount Etna, as I said before, every vintage is so different that for us it's every vintage is a big bet. I mean, you never know how it's going to be. I have the director who doesn't sleep every vintage. He's like, okay, after next year, and I've seen everything because he's been working with us since 2001. So every year he's like, okay, this year I'm okay. I've seen so many different vintages that I can sleep. And then the vintage give you a new challenge. You never know how it's gonna be. So, and then you can see that exactly in the glass. So that's why it's interesting to taste every vintage.
I know, it's insane. You sort of look at these things, and in Australia, this year has been crazy. We've had floods, we've had bushfires, there's been some frosts in part, there's been late rain during the vintage, everyone's had to leave stuff hanging, and then it sort of come on, and I look at a place like Etna, and to see the snow in the vineyards over the winter period, and to see, where did I see it? I can't remember where, but there was some imagery, and it was between, I think, Rampante and Guardiola. With one of the eruptions, there's a little bit of lava that had made it through, and that was only, I think, a couple of years ago.
So here the last eruption reached this area was actually in 1947, and it's just at the border of the vineyards of Contrada, of the vineyards of Chardonnay and Contrada Guardiola. You probably saw some real fire that we had around the vineyards in the summer, which is a real problem we have every year. But we always have eruption. I mean, you see the smoke going out from the top of the mountain, and I mean, tourists can be quite scared. They're like, oh, there is smoke. Should I go home? Should I leave Sicily? But for us, it's normal. It's actually the opposite. Because Etna, it's an active volcano, but has always been a good mother in the sense that it's never killed anyone. It's with all the eruption she does, because for us, it's a woman.
So if it's not smoking, you get worried.
Yeah, correct. Because in this way, at least it's releasing pressure.
Yeah.
It's not like Vesuvio that was silent for a long time and then destroyed everything.
Yeah. My wife's just asking for some wine. Pass me a corkscrew. I think we're going to open a bottle. Grab a corkscrew. Because it's dinner time here, so we're thirsty. Which leads us to a question. We had one of the guys, Aaron, a mate of mine that's he's over in New Zealand now, and he loves lava juice, wines from Etna, and he was wanting to know what you eat with Nerello Mascelese. What's your favourite sort of foods to eat with Nerello Mascelese, or is it just everything?
Oh well, you can. I mean, it's also really. It's a wine which is also easy to pair because you can have with like antipasti.
Yeah.
You know, in Sicily we love antipasti. You get cheese, you get salumi, vegetables.
Yeah.
I love the Nerello with the mushroom, for example.
Yeah.
So I know risotto, it's not really Sicilian, but I love risotto with mushroom, Nerello Mascelese. Also with a parmigiana, an eggplant parmigiana, that it's a bit oily. The Nerello has this beautiful acidity that clean you the mouth. So I think it's a really nice pairing. Chicken, pork as well. I mean, just roasted pork. Yeah.
Do you know what? I think you're bang on it. You can pretty much drink it with anything.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it makes a good breakfast wine though. How are you finding it for breakfast? I thought it was Moscato for breakfast.
Well, we have cappuccino in Italy for breakfast, Paolo. I know you have cappuccino also in the evening. For us, it's like, you're drinking cappuccino for evening, or like after dinner.
No, it's true. It's funny when you see.
Saying of seafood. Sorry, seafood is great with Nerello. I mean, you get. I'm not a great seafood person, but I mean, you can have salmon with a bit of tomato sauce, or swordfish, or also just tuna. I mean, I think with Nerello it's a great pairing.
I think even things like prawns and the langoustine and all those kind of things would be perfect with it. It's just it's got enough.
It depends from the Contrada you pick.
Yes. So there we go. There's our challenge. Next time you're here, or next time I'm there, we're going to have to go through a meal and prove the point.
Okay, I mean.
Yeah, it sounds good. Hey, well, I've got to say, just as feedback, these wines are looking really good. I've loved the again, Guardiola for me always shines, and I always look at Guardiola next to Rampante and think, I wonder which one's going to be the winner in 5 years, because it's that time waiting for Rampante just to resolve a little bit more and settle. But it's another beautiful batch of wines. I wish you were here to drink them with us, but. Next time. Yeah. And, but hey, I reckon we should do another one of these. But next time we do it, what I'm going to do is organise to make sure people have the same wines and that we can drink them together. Yeah. And we'll do it a bit later so that you can have lunch and maybe an early lunch, and we can have a late dinner. And then it'll all be perfect. But hey, thanks so much for joining us and taking the time to share all of your knowledge about Passopisciaro. Maybe we'll do one with the Tuscan estates at another time, and have a bit of fun with that. So hey, most important thing, you look after yourself, stay well, and we'll catch up real soon, and share a bottle.
Okay. Thank you all. Cheers.
Ciao.
See you next time. Ciao. Ciao.
Bye. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye. Grazie mille.